What is going on, everybody? We are here. NFL Week 1. It's the nation. Wise take it that. Paulie D Patio Joe. We are here to break down Week 1 of the glorious NFL season. I'm jacked up. Joey, how are you feeling, my man?
I'm doing well. It's Wise Day. You know, the Guidos are back. Like I said today on Twitter, the Guidos are back. And Jay Ajayi just scored his second touchdown of the night.
He did.
Yeah, he did. He had barely a terrible night, but he scored 2 touchdowns and makes value. So that puts the pressure back on Matt Ryan. He has been playing like shit, so it looks like the Eagles are going to go 1-0.
Yeah, well, you know, we knew the Eagles' defense was exceptional, top 5, whatever, and they've been bringing the pressure. And, you know, Atlanta's having trouble blocking, and Atlanta, like, I don't know, they're just, their offense is so vanilla. Like, this guy Sarkisian, in my opinion, like, he's got to go, you know, like, they don't look at all improved from last year. I know it's just one game, but, you know, we just didn't see anything that shows, like, all right, well, they got this going. Like, they lost Tyler Gabriel, like, you know, but whatever. That game's essentially in the past to us. We got 12 games on the Sunday slate, and it's going to be a good one, you know? You know, first things first, let's just, like, talk about, like, the big, you know, elephant in the industry right now, Le'Veon Bell. Like, what's your thoughts? Like, you don't think he's going to play, right?
No, he's out this week. He's not playing this week. And even if he does, if you remember last year, he only had, like, 10 touches or 13 touches, like, the first week of the season anyway. So, guys, don't play him. Even if he suits up, don't play him. Don't try and outsmart the system. I think that he rubbed some people the wrong way, some of his offensive linemen. And Paulie, you know one thing. The last thing you want to do is piss off your offensive linemen, because if they won't block for you, you're done.
Yeah, your history.
It doesn't matter who you are.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think that, you know, James Conner's obviously is he a plug and play in every format, and obviously we'll probably get to that. But you know, it's unfortunate, but if obviously, you know, it's a system that you invest in, and the Steelers run a good system. They run the ball well, so I see no reason why James Conner can't be successful on Sunday and going you know, throughout the season, even if Bell does it out for 10 weeks, which he might be.
Yep. Did you draft Le'Veon Bell in any season long?
No, I did not. And I had a chance to the other night. I had the number 2 pick, and the first guy got Gurley, and I went for David Johnson after that.
So I had my main leagues draft yesterday, and can you guess where he went?
Second round.
Third round.
Okay.
Yeah, third round he fell to. And, like, I could have got him. You know, I picked, like, Juju Schuster over him in the second round. Like, you know, guys that are clearly not better than him. But I feel like this situation, like, I would be surprised if he's back by week 2, you know? And, like, I have a feeling that if he does play this year, this is his last year. And, like, you know, in terms of season long, like, say this season falls apart for the Steelers, I think you'll see a lot of Conner towards the end of the year, you know? And, like, I don't think he has, like, a top 3 player value. But it was really interesting to just see him floating out there.
What will be interesting to see is what happens on Sunday. If the Steelers lose, people are really going to be talking. And then if they win, they're going to be like, whatever, Le'Veon.
Right.
Just keep going on.
He was suspended, I think, for, like, like, 2 seasons ago, the first 3 games. D'Angelo Williams, you know, he had that, like, 2 tremendous games in his place. Like you said, the system is good, you know, so we'll see. And the Conner kid, he was awesome at Pittsburgh in college, and, you know, like, he's looked good in the preseason, so I think he'll be fine. This game, there is some pretty severe weather that's possibly or likely to impact the game, strong winds and rain. And, you know, if that's the case, how do you think that impacts like the Steelers as a whole, their offense? If it's like, weather impacted and, hard to throw the ball, like, because Connor, like, in my opinion, is more of like a carries back than a receiving back. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, you're playing Connor, because he's going to get volume, he's going to get the looks, So I mean, I think that it's this game. I'm staying away from it. I mean, obviously, I guess you could play, Antonio Brown, and I've heard some talk about how Ben isn't a bad value on DraftKings. I mean, the narrative that he's on the road and stuff like that, and I stay away from it. There are certain games I just feel like in week one, don't try and outthink the room. Go with what your gut goes with, and because we really don't know what to expect. So we can kind of see what's going to happen, but it'll take probably about 2 minutes into the first game. We'll be like, oh, didn't see that happening.
Yeah. Like, we think we know, and exactly 2 minutes, 3 minutes into 1:15, we're gonna be like, oh wow, that's how the NFL does. I personally, I think the Browns are going to win this game. I think that they are finally going to turn the corner. Like, maybe I'm buying into the Kool-Aid of, Hard Knocks and, things like that. But, watching Hard Knocks, you get a real view into, like, the mindset of the team, the attitudes. And I really like, what I saw in terms of that. And then they really, like, have improved their team dramatically. Like, Tyrod Taylor is probably the best guy they've had on their quarterback for a while. They brought in Jarvis Landry, who's a, super talented possession receiver with, take it to the house upside. They brought in Carlos Hyde. And, their defense was solid last year. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of Connor, I'll probably play him in cash, but I won't have him in tournaments. I don't think he has a ton of upside. I think there's actually other like value plays that have more upside than him. And
I think on FanDuel, I agree. Cash, you lock him in. GPPs, I'm fading him right now. I think I have him on like maybe one GPP team, and it's just because of initial build and price point. Maybe I'll move off of him because, like you said, there are some other running backs in that range that I think could go off just as much as he can. Maybe just a little bit more expensive on FanDuel, but I like what I see. I'm right there with you when it comes to cash games. Connor, obviously, on my expert poll, I put Connor, is the cash game running back.
Yeah, and like if that's where the ownership goes, especially on FanDuel, like where the passing game with the running backs is not as important. Like he's going to get the goal line carries. I'm fine with that. He's probably going to get 20 carries, especially if the passing game is hindered. But on DraftKings, like I'm looking at like Alex Collins at 5,600, 1,100 more. I don't think that's a whole ton of money more. In a better situation matchup-wise, the Bills were just like the nut worst against the run game. He's getting all the touches, and he should see 2, 3, maybe 4 targets on top of the carries. Like, I want to go there. I respect the Browns' run defense, whereas I don't respect the Bills. And Baltimore's at home, Pittsburgh's on the road. Like, I don't think it's enough savings to go down on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, I'm all right with it. It's in cash, but in tournaments, I think you go elsewhere. But in terms of the Browns, is there anyone on that team that you're looking at playing?
I think on DraftKings, you can always put in Jarvis Landry. Yep. Just because he's going to get the targets. I don't know about the rushing share with Hyde or Chubb or Duke Johnson. I'm not going to get into that. Josh Gordon, I guess if you want to do a flyer on him, I'm going to probably be fading Gordon all year, and I'm just going to be fine with it. And if you guys want to make money off of it, fine. I'll let him prove to me. Yep. I wanted to go back to your point on who I would want to pivot off of when it comes to going down to off of Connor. on FanDuel. And right now, the guy that sticks out to me, and I mean, he's a little bit more expensive. But
what's Connor? What's on FanDuel?
Connor's 5,000. Okay, so I mean that's pretty dirt cheap. I mean, you got Breda on the same side, but you're not going to do it. Just to let you know, Jordan Wilkins is 5,100. He's supposed to get the lion's share of all the carries on Sunday for the Colts. I'm not saying it's a great matchup, but he's the same price basically as that. You got Alfred Morris at 5,500, but the guy that I want to highlight is the rookie out of Denver. He's $1,000 more if you can fit in with Royce Freeman.
Rolls-Royce. Yeah.
I'm thinking. I just feel like there's like a late touchdown, a late break touchdown that's going to put him over the top and maybe win a slate for you, because I think they said Booker was the starter 2 weeks ago, and then they just totally flipped it on its script, and they said Freeman's a starter. So I like him as a good pivot. He's $1,000 more, but I think you could probably move it around and stuff like that and fit him in. He's still a good value at that. But yeah, that's where I'm at. But I do like Connor for cash games. It's hard not to, just because you just know he's going to get the volume, and he's going to get 3x mostly, especially if he gets in the end zone.
Yep. Any interest in Tyrod Taylor? It's a name I'm hearing, especially like for cash games. I don't know as much in GPPs, but what's your thoughts there?
Tyrod Taylor's a great cash game quarterback on DraftKings. That's what I've been hearing. He's more of a DraftKings play. But you got to think, like, Tyrod, he's going to throw a lot of short passes. He's not going to throw interceptions, and he can run the ball a little bit. So what's his price on DraftKings? Do you know?
I will pull it up. Tyrod Taylor is 5,400.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty cheap. So if you're going for price point and stuff like that, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
All about it.
And in tournaments, like, if I played Tyrod Taylor, I would probably pair him up with Njoku. Tyrod Taylor loves throwing his tight end. That guy is freakishly talented. I know that the Steelers are decent against tight ends, but, Tyrod Taylor, if they're going to score some points, I think it'll be through the tight end. I guess enough with that game. AB and Juju, weather's going to impact that decision, but I will say one statistic I heard out there. Antonio Brown has 13 starts with Le'Veon Bell not there and Ben Roethlisberger playing, and he's averaged 28 DraftKings points in those 13 games. Like, massive, massive numbers. So if weather's not horrible, and even if it's like mediocre, like it's raining but the wind isn't bad, I think Antonio Brown is probably one of the best spend ups on the slate. As long as Lev isn't playing and the weather's not just brutal. What's like your favorite game? Is it still the Chiefs San Diego?
Yeah, it's either the Chiefs San Diego or the Bengals and the Colts.
All right, well that's good. Let's start with your Los Angeles Chargers against the Chiefs. Like, what are you looking at? I've heard a lot of different perspectives on this game. So tell me what you like first. I'll give you my thoughts after.
Well, I think that in cash games, if you want to just start off with Rivers and Keenan Allen, I think that's just a great start. I think they're just going to torch the Kansas City secondary all day. The news here's what makes me like this game even more. Even as a Charger fan, I'm not too happy about this news, but the news that Joey Bosa might be out.
Might miss.
And if he misses that game, that just makes it give Mahomes a little bit more time to run around the backfield, something like that to happen. And you got to have a good tennis partner, if you want to, have a good game stack. And I just think with our initial build last week when we had, Allen and Travis Benjamin and Rivers with Tyreek Hill, that's something that really, it could be really, really make you a lot of money on Sunday. I think that's what I'm seeing as me liking this game even more is the thought that Bosa's being out.
Yep.
And so everything else, though, it's pretty much as is. You know, I've been hearing a lot more about Melvin Gordon now as the week goes on, that they're just going to feed him late. And he's going to, you know, he's probably one of, you know, 2 or 3 of the top. If you're going to pay up for running back, he's one of them this week. So I like that. Rivers is your cash game quarterback. If you want to play Gordon in cash, you can too. Don't stay away from Antonio Gates this week. I'm the biggest Antonio Gates fan. And even if he does catch a touchdown pass, what's it going to be? 1 catch for 7 yards and a touchdown. Yeah. Not going to win you a slate. Don't worry about it. Nothing big. You don't have to do it. On the other side, I mean, here's the thing. I just think the Chargers haven't beaten the Chiefs like 4 years. Man, they are ripe. They have been looking to this all year. I think the Chargers are just going to roll them. But I think the Chiefs are going to put up enough points to where if you have that stack with Tyreek Hill, I don't play Sammy Watkins. That's just something in my 10 commandments that I just don't do in football. Mm-hmm. So somebody else can. It's just, you know. So I like Kelsey obviously is fine, but if you're paying up for tight end, I'm going for Gronk this week. So that's it basically on this game. I'm basically going with, you know, the game stack of Rivers, Allen, maybe Benjamin, you know, Mike Williams, and then Tyreek Hill on the other side.
So it looks like it's going to be Keenan and Tyrell, you know, wide receivers 1 and 2 when they're in 2 receiver sets, and then Mike Williams in the 3 receiver sets, and then Travis Benjamin when they go to 4, right? Which is not going to be a ton. I read that when they go to 3 receiver sets, Keenan Allen's going to be in the slot. He ran like 20-something% of his routes out of the slot last year. And, you know, the Chiefs, like, by far best secondary player now is their slot corner. They lost, what's that dude's name? He was the corner last year, Marcus Peters. Mm-hmm. And, you know, he was like the corner that never switched sides. He's gone, and, you know, if they're, you know, I feel like, you know, the spread, number one, is concerning to me about just being confident that the Steelers are going to win. And that's like what I believe is going to happen. But, like, you know, they're only favored by 3.5. It opened at 3. It's out to 3.5. I would think that that'd be a bigger line. So I'm going to be, like, looking to see, like, if that increases or decreases before Sunday. Mm-hmm. And then, like, I'm more interested in Melvin Gordon and the Chargers defense, like that stack, than Phillip Rivers. Like, because I think the Chargers win, like, I think that they're going to do a lot of running out the clock kind of thing, you know? Like, I just don't think a rookie quarterback is going to go on the road in his he did play, like, week 17 last year. This is, like, his real, like, debut, in my opinion, you know? And this Chargers defense is top 5 and, you know, just real tough on opposing passing games. And, like, unless, like, Kareem Hunt goes nuts early, I don't see the Chargers falling behind. And if the Chargers are in front, like, I see Gordon getting a ton of the work. And if the Chargers are behind, I see Gordon getting a lot of action in the pass game. Like, I feel like Gordon is the safest play on the Chargers. Like, I don't mind Phillip Rivers, but, you know, I feel like there's other quarterbacks that are better. And then Keenan Allen, at his price, like, how popular he's going to be, like, I don't know if he's, like, a guarantee. It's like Melvin Gordon is the guy who could, like, take away from that or, you know, allow him to have a bigger game. But also those 2 wideouts, if he's going to be coming out of the slot. So there's, like, a lot of factors to kind of think about. You know, you could also do the onslaught with the Chargers and go Rivers, Gordon, any receiver, and the defense, and say the Chargers are going to win 35-3, blowout, defense does a bunch of scoring, everyone gets a little piece. And I don't think that's completely out of the question. And in terms of the Chiefs, like, the only like Kelsey, I feel like, you know, I don't care, like, what defense it is. Like, he's going to get his touches. He's going to get thrown, especially if they're losing, So, like, I don't mind him, but in comparison to him and Gronk, I don't really have a preference. I'm probably looking to pay down at tight end. So, like, even if I do stack any of the Chargers, I probably wouldn't bring it back with any Chiefs. And I just keep finding myself going to Melvin Gordon and the defense more often than anything in tournaments. And I'm not looking, we don't know the answer. Like, I think you like Rivers and Allen a little bit more, and I lean the other way, but, we'll find out Sunday. But I'm happy that we're both kind of like just on the Chargers and not really questioning Kansas City.
No, I mean, I think I like Tyreek Hill. I think he can get loose, and all it takes is one, couple. He's going to get a couple bubble screens, and he's going to get a couple, pissant catches here and there, and then all it takes is one big one, which he did last year against Hayward, so it can happen.
Yeah.
So I think that,
I don't mind him either in GPPs, but I just don't think I'm going to end up there. But, if I was building 20, 50 teams, I would sprinkle in some Tyreek Hill. He's like a guy you should really – this is like a term I'm just using more and more when I talk about MME. But in reality, there's 16 weeks in the NFL. Tyreek Hill's going to have 3, slate-winning weeks when he just has 2 touchdowns, maybe a punt return, whatever he does. He's one of the more explosive players in the NFL. Let's go to this Bengals-Colts game. The Colts are home. They're favored by 2.5. The total is up a point, open at 47. It's up to 48. I don't think Marlon Mack is officially out yet, but he didn't practice today. If he's out, then you mentioned Jordan Wilkins would be his replacement. I have zero interest in playing Jordan Wilkins. I don't think they have a good enough offensive line. I don't think that they're winning, and if they are, I think they're winning because Andrew Luck's playing really well. What's your thoughts on this game?
I think the Bengals win this game. I think the Bengals defense is a little bit better than what people say they are. And I think when it comes to my number one stack, I think if you want to do an onslaught, I don't mind doing Dalton, Mixon, Green, and John Ross.
And John Ross.
Really want to throw it, or just Green, John Ross, and Dalton. I think Dalton at his price on FanDuel at 6,800, you can't beat it this week. I think he's good for cash and GPPs. I think these two games that we're talking about, it's just this is where I'm going, and I know people are going to love going to New Orleans and stuff, and maybe that's where you want to go, but I think that's going to be the chalkiest game. And
the New Orleans Tampa Bay game.
You see, and maybe there's something we talk about. See, I think last week we were thinking that, but more and more I'm hearing other sites, other people talking about this game, this Baltimore, this Bengals game with Indy, because Indy's defense is so god awful.
Yeah.
So I just think that the Bengals are, because of the price point. You can fit in AJ Green and Mixon with Dalton and Ross and still be able to fit in other guys and make your team good. So I like it. I think John Ross is gonna get loose for one, and I think AJ Green is gonna have maybe a Julio Jones type day, like what Julio did today, 169 yards and 10 catches.
Plus some touchdowns, maybe.
Maybe get a touchdown too. God, you just get in the damn end zone.
What about the other side? Do you have interest in Luck? Do you have interest in T.Y. Hilton?
T.Y. Hilton, no interest in Luck. I'm not playing Luck until I actually see it. His average depth of target in the preseason was 5.7 yards, which is down 2 yards from his his normal average in the year. So I want to see it. And T.Y. Hilton, is the guy that you bring it back with on if you're doing a Bengals stack, which I am on one of my teams. So, and I think T.Y. Hilton is one of the best GPP receivers of the week.
FanDuel and DK or
FanDuel?
FanDuel, okay.
Most of the stuff I talk about is always
FanDuel. So I think Ty is a much better play on DraftKings than FanDuel. Touchdown dependent site like FanDuel, if he doesn't get that touchdown, I don't know if he outscores other big receivers. But I mean, I completely agree. So like the thing that you said is like pretty much like my headline of the week, right? Everyone is saying I want to see it first from Luck. And if you wait to see it, you're going to be too late, right? This is the only opportunity to get Luck low owned and win a tournament with him. They're favored. They got to be dying to perform well. Like this team was a disaster last year. They got their, top guy back. He's supposedly perfectly healthy. I don't give a damn what he did in the preseason. Like they're probably vanilla, AF. And I'm really excited to jump on Luck. He's underpriced. I like the pairing with Hilton. I don't mind throwing Jack Doyle in there with them. I love bringing it back with all the Bengals. I love this game. Like, I'll have it stacked up both ways. But Andrew Luck is by far my favorite quarterback of the week. And I love that everyone is saying I got to wait and see it. Like, I know he's not going to have any ownership. And before these last 2 or 3 injured seasons, his 3 seasons that he did play healthy and for the most part full, he was the 4th best quarterback or better in all 3 of those seasons in terms of season-long QB ranking. And the fact that they're favored just like tells me that they're going to be in this game. And they're 48 total. Like the Colts are going to score. Where's that going to come from? From Jordan Wilkins? No way. Like they're projected for 3.5 touchdowns. Like and the fact that like Ty is so clear, the guy to pair him with on turf. The Bengals don't really have very good corners. Like it all just makes a lot of sense. And like I was on that early, and it just like it's just growing more and more for me. And that's like my that's gonna be my main team is a Colts stack. I'll probably bring it back with the Bengals. So CK is really big on Ross, and he had that one phenomenal play in the preseason. He was a first-round draft pick. I think it was 9th. I could be wrong, but maybe it was 13th-ish. But he was he was like the 2nd or 3rd receiver picked in the first round that year. Basically redshirted his first year, and then supposedly he's really impressing. He's super cheap. No one's really talking about him around the industry. I would definitely include him if I did run an Andy Dalton team, and if you're looking to double pay up at running back, like you don't have to put AJ Green. You can go with Ross. You didn't mention any of the tight ends on the Colts or the Bengals. Any interest in Eifert or the one of the 2 Colt tight ends?
Rob Jasinski's not in Indianapolis anymore. That has we have Frank Reich now, so they're not featuring the tight end as much. So if I was picking one, I'd pick Doyle. Ebron is probably more touchdown dependent. I think if you wanted to go Doyle on DK, I'm down with that. But I think it's kind of just not really was really on my radar. I got a question here from the chat. This is a PPR league. We need you to pick 2, all right? We got Alex Collins, Larry Fitzgerald. We got John Connor and Rex Burkhead.
It's PPR season, like season long?
Yeah, season
long. Definitely Fitzgerald. And then you said Collins,
Burkhead.
Or Burkhead. I'd say Collins. And Fitzgerald.
I agree. Collins and Fitz. Maybe 3rd would be Connor. I'm not playing Burkhead. They said they might ease him in. You might get James White. They're throwing everything else. I'm not playing Burkhead.
Like Rex Burkhead is really cheap on DraftKings. Like really, really enticing. Another guy you could pivot off of Connor too. And like first off, like Sony Michael. Like the Patriots, they will. They'll deactivate a running back. They did it with Gillisley last year. They've done, like if he's not active, because he's questionable right now, I'd like Burkhead a little bit more. If he's active and they got 3 of those guys, then I'm not going to go there. You just don't know like what Belichick's going to do. And
I'm hearing that they're not. He's not going to be active this week. They're going to use him in. But they said that if there's one running back that is a Alvin Kamara comparison, it's Sony Michel.
Okay.
So we'll see later on in the season.
All right. We're going to jump into DK and build a team and FanDuel and build like a team or the shell of a team, a core kind of thing.
Mhm.
Let's talk about those two like higher profile games. Let's talk and then we'll jump in there. Let's talk about the Saints Tampa Bay. That game is in New Orleans. The Saints cut that kid. I think Trey Boston was his name. I know his last name is Boston. They only have two running backs active on the roster, and one is Mike Gillisley, who just got there. So Kamara is pretty much all alone in the backfield. Coach has said that his workload is not going to increase, and I don't see how that's possible. So what's your thoughts on Kamara? Do you think he is the chalkiest running back this week, or do you think someone else? And then what's your thoughts on this game?
I'm up top. He's the chalkiest running back.
Yeah.
But of the week, Connor is going to be
maybe a
more
value guy
popular.
purchase. But of like the spend ups, he's like the clear chalk, right?
Yes, I think he's a clear chalk. That's why I think there's some good pivots away from him if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can also see game script going where they're up by 20 points. Why keep going your highest commodity? Why would you keep throwing him out there? You know, so you better get his stuff late. I mean, to be honest with you, I think if my GPP pivot defense is the Saints D off of the Ravens, I'm not playing the Ravens D in GPPs, but I'm playing the Saints D because I think they have just as much high upside to pick six, return something. I mean, Kamara could return a kick. Did it last year against these same Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think he's up top. You're not playing Bell, obviously. Kamara, you're playing Kamara, and I think obviously the pivot of a Kamara is David Johnson. So, he's probably up top. And Gordon, it's hard not to think Gordon's not going to be pretty highly owned. And then one other guy I think that's just going to be fed is Fournette. I think that those are my three guys up top. If I'm paying up in cash, I'm playing one of those guys: Kamara, Gordon, or Fournette.
Kamara, Gordon, or Fournette, not DJ.
Not in cash.
Okay.
DJ is my pivot off of all three of those in GPPs.
Okay, gotcha. So, the Saints they opened at 7-point favorites. It's up to 9.5. The total opened at 51.5. It's down to 49.5, a 2-point drop. You think the Saints win convincingly?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. So this is really like growing on me is actually potentially playing Drew Brees. Like I know that this team is not, the offense that they used to be. They're clearly committed to the run game. But if they're not going to increase Kamara's role, and Gillisley just got there and can't know much of the playbook, and and they're going to score 30 points, where's that going to come from? And even if Kamara has a big game, it could be through the pass game. Drew Brees has really grown on me. I've liked Kamara and the Saints D. Jameis Winston's out. Don't really have a ton of faith in this Tampa Bay team right now. I think you could do an onslaught situation with the Saints. That's my favorite onslaught. Brees, Kamara, probably Michael Thomas, and the Saints D.
Where you can do Ben Watson too.
Yeah, you could do Cam Meredith as a value play. There's definitely different ways you can mix it up, but I kind of Brees led the NFL last year in completions over 20 yards. I just learned that that's it's not that they can't pass, it's just that they didn't. But there is no Ingram. Gillisley just got there. I kind of feel like this is a typical Brees at home in the turf. And if Kamara does it through the air, that's 1 or 2 touchdowns already for him. I expect him to share, get Thomas involved, get a variety of other players potentially involved, as he always does. And Pro Football Focus talked about 6 changes across the league, and one of them they said was the Tampa Bay run defense. drafted so-and-so, they brought in a linebacker, and, like, you know, if they're slightly improved, they got Big Gerald McCoy. Like, I almost feel like Kamara's going to do it, like, in the air versus, like, a goal line run. And maybe Gillisley gets the goal line runs because those are simple run plays. You don't have to know a ton of the playbook to do that. You know, so, like, I'm starting to think about Breeze, Kamara, just that too you could do. You know what I mean? You don't need to get to Thomas. You don't need to get the defense. But, you know, like, you can definitely throw all over Tampa Bay. And Mike Thomas was one of the best receivers, especially towards the end of the year last year. What do you think? Yeah, disagree, agree, don't mind?
No, I mean, I think you can. I think that at any time Drew Brees can throw for 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So, and it can happen. And I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I think it's totally plausible. We have one question in the chat I want to ask you.
All
it's
right.
more of a strategy question, and then I want to highlight a player on FanDuel. We can talk about him for a little bit.
All right. While you do that, I'm going to share my screen and bring up FanDuel so that, like, when we highlight the guy, we can bring up his.
All right. This is from Dakman. When you correlate a game stack such as
Did we lose Joe? I was sharing my screen. Yeah, he said my computer just shut off. So, it's just me, Paulie D, like you wanted it anyway. Not sure who Joey Joe was gonna highlight there, but don't know what the question was he was gonna ask. But just CK, let him know to jump back on. He'll be back in a second. And let me see if I can find the question. Okay, so when you game stack, are you, and trying to get correlation, are you stacking 3 guys or just a couple one-offs? Is that the question? Oh, I got it. I see it. Hey, it's Dakman. When you correlate a game stack, such as Bengals Colts, are you stacking 3 from each team or a couple one-offs? So, not 3 from each. That's too much. All right, like, probably 5 total from the same game would be the most for me. So I'm fine with, like, using that Colts game quarterback, and, you know, say it's Luck plus, you know, 2 pass catchers, right? So a tight end and T.Y. Hilton, and then bringing it back with A.J. Green and Mixon, or A.J. Green and Ross. And, you know, last year there was I forget which week, but it was the Texans and Seattle game that was crazy high scoring. I think it was 41-35 finish. A double game stack, 3 from Houston, 2 from Seattle, ended up winning the Millie Maker that week. And when we get to week 4 and the buys start to come in and the slates get smaller, like, I think those onslaught stacks and, you know, 4 guys from 1 games become, like, better plays because there's less games, there's less players that can go off in another game, and you might have the 1 game that's, you know, 41-35, and everything else is more moderate, you know, 42-point totals, and you have this 175-point total, and you get all the touchdowns and yardage from it, and, you know, outscore the slate. Also, last year in week 1, it wasn't on the main slate, but the Kansas City Chiefs, you know, Hunt went off, Hill went off, the quarterback, Alex Smith went off, and so did Tyreek Hill. Like, all 4 of the Chiefs did, and so did, I believe, Gronkowski from the Patriots. So that was 4 Chiefs and 1. But I really wouldn't go more than 5. And this week, whether it's 12, 13 games, the first 3 weeks of the season, it's very unlikely that 5 guys in one game outscore, you may have like 2 guys from that game that are the highest scoring players on the slate, but the third, fourth, and fifth it's unlikely that they're going to be the third, fourth, and fifth highest scoring players on the slate. You could probably find, a singular player in another game that is a much better play. So short slates, I agree, and when the slate's condensed down, or if you're doing a late slate. But for the first few weeks, I don't want to go much more than 4 guys from the same game. Yeah, so I'll give you an example while we wait for Joe to come back. Let's do we'll do Carolina, right? So Carolina's playing Dallas, and Carolina's at home. Cam Newton was one of the highest scoring players last year. 7 games, or I believe we had 40 yards rushing or more. Like, we know he's dual threat. Add him in there, right? And a guy that I'm incredibly bullish on this year is my boy, Mr. Christian McCaffrey, right? And Christian McCaffrey was top 15 in targets overall last year as a running back. And I'm talking about with all the receivers. He was the 15th most targeted player last year. And he was really sharing carries in that backfield. That guy's gone. He's now on the Giants, actually. McCaffrey's the whole show. Their second or third preseason game, they ran 9 plays in a row through him. Like, I think by week 3, week 4, you're going to have McCaffrey up there with Kamara and DJ as just the highest, priced back on the slate week after week. And this is, a weak Dallas defense, and I'm going to be including McCaffrey, right? For that very reason. Like, he's essentially a receiver that's now looking to get 15 to 20 carries as well, right? So I'm going to pair their top targeted receiver with Cam Newton. And then you could choose a hand, out of these cheap receivers. That's kind of like, hard to decide which one. We got some younger guys in the mix. Where's this Carolina game? 425, right? So Devin Funchess, they're clear number 1. DJ Moore, we don't know, but he's number 2 on the depth chart. They added Torrey Smith. He's like a home run player. You could go here for value, but let's try to do it with like the main guys, right? So you got Devin Funchess, 6'4", and then who are we going to bring it back from Dallas, right? Who is even good on Dallas right now outside of Zeke? And, let's take a look. Like, I remember in games that they were losing last year, like to the Rams, right? Zeke got involved in the pass game. So 5 targets, 7 targets, 2, 3, 2, 5, 4, like receiving touchdown, 72 yards here. Another receiving touchdown, 54 yards. Like, Zeke Elliott is this whole team. They do have a very good offensive line. Carolina's defense is decent, but like when you're playing these game stacks, they work when the games go off. You have to put the stack in place with the optimal plays and just hope that game goes off and it's back and forth. So you're putting a Zeke Elliott in if you're doing a Cowboys one, right? So throw him in there. We got 4. This is really as far as I would go, right? And that leaves 59.40 for the rest of the players. That's really not that bad, especially if you don't mind. You have a couple value receivers that you want to go to. But, you could also, instead of playing Funchess, who, at 6'4", he's got to get a touchdown on FanDuel to really be worth it. You could come to Greg Olsen. He's a slightly cheaper. Or try out one of these value receivers on either team. Like you got Cam and McCaffrey, you probably have exposure to all the Carolina touchdowns that way. Like, even if Funchess catches one, you're getting the exposure through Cam Newton that way. And if they rush for one, it's either Cam or McCaffrey. So you could just go with the 2 Carolinas and then run it back with someone on Dallas. It's just like, ooh, it's it's ugly. This wasn't the best example, but I guess we'll take their best receiver, who is probably Allen Hurns. When healthy, he's pretty decent, and this isn't a great example, but like I said, weeks 1, 2, and 3 before the buys start, I would stick to only 4, and you can see that you still have 6,040 per player left. All right. So we were going to build a tournament team, or the nucleus of a tournament team, and I essentially started one there, but I'm going to do one that's not a full on game stack or onslaught. And as I said, I'm in love with Andrew Luck in tournaments, right? Like, I've finally found the light, and I'm going to have more cash game dollars out there than tournaments. In cash games, I'm going to play the optimal and highly owned players, right? But in tournaments, I'm fine getting different. And because I'm going to have my Phil Rivers or Tom Brady or whoever plays in cash, I don't mind going to Andrew Luck on my main tournament team.
Yo, I'm here.
He's back.
I'm back.
He is back.
I have no idea what happened. Just like literally my computer just like shut off. It was
unlike perfect timing with me switching screens. So I thought I had fallen off. So I was just sitting there quiet. Like, I texted CK, like, did I fall off? And he was like, did we lose Joe? But anyway, we're still live. We're professionals. Let's jump in. I already handled Dak Man's question. Let's build a tournament team. This is FanDuel. This is your site.
Mm-hmm.
Let's roll with your favorite tournament guys. So who do you want as your quarterback?
Let's go with it. Let's start with Andy Dalton as your quarterback.
With Mr. Red Rocket, Andy Dalton, and what is his price tag? You know what? I'll just click on it up here. A lot easier that way. Andy Dalton, 6'8". All right, and who are you looking to pair him up with? You looking to grab Mixon? Are you looking to grab AJ Green? You want to go with Mr. Ross?
I want AJ Green.
All right.
And I want John Ross.
John Ross. And, when you're like, Andy Dalton is kind of like mid-level priced on FanDuel, right? AJ Green's obviously high end. It's pretty hard, to add another really expensive guy to the stack. It really limits what the rest of your team can do. So I like going to a value type player. And on John Ross, in my opinion, is a better FanDuel player than DraftKings, because like, I don't expect him to get a ton of catches, right? Like, if he pays off, it's going to be that one play, right? One catch, 75-yard touchdown, boom, he's at 15 points. And, unless he's to get over 100 yards and get the bonus on DK, or to rack up multiple catches, he's just a better touchdown or nothing, kind of like a Martavis Bryant or Juju Schuster from Pittsburgh, kind of wide receiver 2 value play. So I agree. John Ross, I'd go to. Bringing it back with T.Y.?
Bringing it back with T.Y.
Bringing it back with T.Y. And again, this is GPP. That leaves us with 6,500. Let's pick a running back from the field here. Or, you know what, let's put in a defense, because that usually gives you like a good idea of what's remaining. Who do you want at defense?
I want to put in the Saints right now.
Put in the Saints. And, I'm going to run with the Ravens, just on defenses while we're here. I'm going to run with the Ravens in cash. I think they're just, in the
I 100% agree with you.
Most optimal spot. And in tournaments, like, if I build 5 teams, I'll probably have the Ravens on 1, but I'll look to differentiate there. And, I'm not like, with Baltimore in such an optimal spot, I'm not really looking to take like crazy risks on the defense, like, play a random Seahawks kind of thing. With defenses, I'm looking for injuries on the offensive line, right? A significant mismatch with the D-line against the O-line, rookie quarterbacks, and, potentially lopsided, high favorites. That's those are like the factors that going into my defenses. And Baltimore, Denver is potential, but not really. The Saints is my next favorite, and then the Chargers, they're 43. The Chargers are significantly cheaper on DraftKings. I'll show you when we get over there. But all right, we got the Saints, and that leaves you with $7K per player, with 4 players left. So you can pretty much give me your favorite running back at this point on the slate. Who do you want?
I want Derrick Henry.
What, Derrick Henry? All right.
That's what I want. I want Derrick Henry. And I know that because even if you put Derrick Henry on there, you still got 7,000 left. You can still put in almost any running back you want. I think Derrick Henry, I just think they are going to run the ball down the Dolphins' throat on Sunday. And Derrick Henry's going to have a big game. Huge game. I like him. It was tough. Like, I have 3 running backs. My build generally, I think this week is like paying down for running backs to pay up at wide receiver, because there's
down at running back to pay up at wide receiver. You came in a little muffled there, so
pay down at running back to pay up at wide receiver, because you got guys like Henry, Collins, and Connor. Those 3 guys right there, you could lock in FanDuel as your 2 running backs in the flex. Those are 3 values. They're all going to get the ball, and then you can pay up at the receiver spot. That leaves you with I want to go with my flex spot, and this is somebody we're going to talk about. I wanted to talk to you about him, and I want your opinion on him, because I guarantee you this is going to be the cheapest we are going to get him on this entire season. And I think that most of the public are going to think that a certain player is going to be shadowing him all day, and I don't think it's going to happen. And that's Odell Beckham Jr.
ODB. I love it.
I think that, first of all, we've been hearing things out of camp that Shermer's playing him in the slot more. And Jalen Ramsey has only traveled against Hopkins and Brown, both of which have went for 80 and a touchdown when they played Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey also just showed up on the injury report this week.
Yeah, he's got a what was it, a hamstring?
No, an ankle.
An ankle. Okay.
I was talking with my boy at Fantasy Football Juggernauts. This guy on Twitter. Talked to him. He watches the show all the time. His name's Sean. Good guy. Talk football, and he just telling me, he goes, Odell's going to be in the slot, and if he's in the slot, that means that puts DJ Hayden on him. DJ Hayden is one of the worst slot corners in the league, and if they match him up, I think Odell at 7,800 on FanDuel. I just think that it's just an easy. I think for GPPs, I think you're going to get him at the cheapest you're going to get him all year, and at the lowest ownership all year. What say you? Being the Giants fan, what do you think?
So the Giants are. I'm definitely going to stack the Giants on like my 4th or 5th team. They severely improved their offensive line. They brought in Nate Solder, former All-Pro. They drafted, can't think of his name right now, but in the 2nd round, he was like 5th or 6th best offensive lineman in the draft. Looked good in camp, and they're healthy, right? The Giants were just ravished with injuries last year. We had 3 guys off the practice squad starting in week 11 at receiver, like, Wayne Gallman. Like, it just got worse and worse and worse. And the Giants, like, we drafted Saquon Barkley. And, the Giants remind me of the Chiefs last year, right? Alex Smith is Eli Manning. Odell Beckham is Tyreek Hill. Evan Ingram is Kelsey. Yeah, and Hunt and Saquon Barkley. Like, we have an explosive offense. And early in the year, they're all going to be underpriced. Jacksonville, like, it's funny that you went to Beckham, and I agree. Like, I don't know why. Like, we always just favor with the cornerback. Like, whenever it's a stud receiver on a stud corner, it's always it's always like just get away from the receiver. And it doesn't always have to be that way. Like you said, like last year against some of the better receivers, they did get to him and score, and you're getting that's baked into Odell's price that he's going against a top corner, right? But The Jags, like, they have a good pass rush. They were, best in football against the pass, but they were 29th in football. Well, this says 22nd. DVOA says 29th against the run. And I think we're going to have a Saquon Barkley mimic of Hunt in week 1 last year when it went bananas.
Yeah.
Right. And Saquon Barkley took his first carry in the preseason for 37 yards, and they were like, all right, we're good.
That's it.
That's all we need to see, And I'm super excited about it. Nobody's playing either of these guys. And I think even at Eli, Odell, Saquon triple stack is really, really interesting. And, I wouldn't even have said that to you. I started to think about Saquon 2 days ago. And then, I watched the San Francisco 49ers Jacksonville game late in last season the other night. The 49ers put 37 points up on them.
Oh, yeah. That was a team, yeah.
I could see the Giants doing the same. We don't know if the Jaguars are going to be as good this year. Just because they were great last year doesn't mean it's definitely going to translate. The Giants are really talented, and, I'm with it. I like that a lot. So, we're not going to fill out the last two. You can use your imagination.
I mean, it's pretty simple. You got enough to you can either pay up.
You can do whatever you want.
You could go up for a high-priced running back and then go really low with your tight end, fill in a Ben Watson or somebody really cheap at tight end and go with a high-priced running back. Or you go with Gronk and go really low, go with Connor or something. So that's it. So let's move on to DraftKings.
Yep.
Paulie D, DraftKings is your show. Let's go. Where are we starting with DraftKings?
We're going with Andrew Luck, baby. We don't want to wait to see it. We're going to be ahead of the field, and we're going to jump on it early, right? Andrew Luck. Boom, right?
Get him below 5%, guys. Guaranteed.
Going to be below what?
5% easily.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the beauty of it, And, I love the fact that you love this game. And I love that the spread is low. I hope that this game is a 35-31 final. Andrew Luck throws a game-winning touchdown to T.Y. Hilton as time expires. And by playing Andrew Luck, I'm already contrarian, right? I did a strat session today, and I showed a Millie Maker winning team that had 8 players over 15% owned in week 1, and then they had the Bears running back. Not the starter, but the second guy, the receiving running back guy from the Bears at 0.015%. He went off that last game, that first game of the year. What's his name? You happen to have it?
Say that again.
The Bears backup running back, the receiving back.
Tariq Cohen, right? So you had 8 guys, 15% owned or more, and then Tariq Cohen set him apart. In the Millie Maker, I'm not playing those kind of fields, right? I'm going to be playing the $100 single entry, the 333, 5,000 man, those kind of things. So pairing it up with T.Y. Hilton, I want Andrew Luck to be coming from behind and just throwing 50 times. So I'm going to put Mr. Mixon back here. And, I think this is just fine, these two. But I'm also going to add a tight end. Just literally, I don't think Jordan Wilkins is going to do anything. They got Geno Atkins, the big man in Cincinnati. So I'm going to throw Jack Doyle, right? This guy was, 19th in total in most targeted receivers last year, a tight end. I know it's Frank Reich, but he don't got nobody else, with Chester Rogers, Jack Doyle, he's their number 2 receiver right now, right? So, that's how I'm approaching this game. Maybe I take one more step. Let me see, what AJ. I don't have the money for AJ Green. So you wouldn't go for Ross?
Maybe I do have enough. Let's try to get AJ Green in there. Right. Let me get a defense.
You wouldn't go for Ross because he's 3,900.
So, like I said, I think he's more of a FanDuel play because I don't expect him to get enough targets to rack up PPR. He's touchdown on nothing. So I like him more on FanDuel. If anything, maybe I'd go to a tight end, but that's just unknown. Mixing AJ Green, I got exposure to most of the touchdowns, I think. So I'm gonna try and throw your Chargers defense in because they're, $1,000 cheaper than the Ravens. I would like to get me some Melvin Gordon at 6'8". Let's see if that works. All right. And I got a wide receiver and a flex. Like, I'm just going to finish this one, right? Like, I want McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey's going to be priced. I think he's going to be like Kamara this year. He's no longer sharing. As I said, when you had fallen off, he was like 15th in targets last year amongst everyone. Like, so he's a receiver that's also going to get 20 carries a year this year, like 20 carries a game. And he already showed us the breakaway speed in the preseason. Like, I think he really burst onto the scene this year. So I'm going to throw him in at 6'4". Like, you know, a running back that's going to get 6 to 10 targets on DraftKings at 6'4" is just so valuable. Leaves me with 4-1, and there's plenty of value receivers down here that you can choose from. The chalky popular one right now is Keenan Cole from Jacksonville. You know,
you fit in Ross. Like
Ross.
CJ says in the chat, all it takes is one.
All it takes is one. That's true.
One big one, you know.
That's true. You know, John Brown is new. Philip Dorsett's getting some talk, although I will never play Philip Dorsett. I could go to the Gazelle on the Chargers. You know, like I said, the Chiefs
Let me
have
ask you this. I got to play it for you. And I think I'm almost calling it a touchdown on Sunday. I'm calling it right now. He's 3,700 on DK. John Brown against that terrible Buffalo secondary. 3,700. All it takes is, I mean, he could buy 2. He's their number 1 receiver right now. They said he outplayed Crabtree in the.
John Brown always had massive games in Arizona with a bad quarterback. Flacco's motivated. The only problem is it's supposed to be terrible weather. And I think once they get ahead, they just, you know, feed it to Alex Collins.
I think Collins is a great cash game, and I think the Ravens D is great too.
I love this team mixing Gordon, McCaffrey. You know, if that stack works out with Luck, Ty, AJ Green, Chargers D, like I really like the nucleus of this team, and that is going to do it, folks. You know, with the Joey falling off, we were going to take a couple questions, but we're already running over on time. But we'll be back week in and week out. Never know what we're going to do with the show.
The Beatles are back.
Maybe we'll go game by game. I don't know. We're going to have to find out. But, Joey, the Wise Show with the Wise Take Nation on Thursday night. Wise Day, baby. It's Wise Day. If you are listening to us on Podbeam, on Twitch, on Facebook, on YouTube, on iTunes, on any other platform that we may be streaming on, please do your part and support the Wise Take Nation. Like, share, support, spread the word. It really helps us do this, what we do each and every day and week in NFL, bringing you guys awesome content so you can prepare for the weekend slate. If you are not a member of the Wise Take Nation, come check us out. We have week passes, month passes, season passes, discounts all around. Check out Money Webby, another guy on YouTube. He's got a promo code, so if you go listen to a show, you can get a discount to our site. The Slack chat is probably been the number 1 addition to our portfolio. You know, some goat yesterday decided to message the entire Slack chat. Urgent message. Play Matt Adams. Told the entire Slack. The guy went double dong. The entire nation made money. You only get the Slack if you're a monthly member or above, so I suggest getting a monthly membership or better. Get it with the nation. It's the movement, baby. Joey, anything you want to say in closing?
No, man, guys, just good week 1. You know what? Enjoy it. Football's back. Don't try to overthink it. You know, I mean, it's tough. We really don't know what's going to happen. You know, maybe if whatever the public is spouting off who's going to be good, maybe throw a team with just some weird goes totally against the grain and see what happens. Who knows? You could be right and could be a millionaire.
One last time, you will catch the Wise Stream Saturday, 8 p.m. Paulie the D, Cash in DFS, and the Bros Bear Mania kicking in some analysis. You know, pretty much refereeing me and Cash in DFS as we give you our last looks. And then we will be in the Slack chat all the way up until lock. Joey, you the man. Wise
All
Take
right,
Nation, I love you. We are out.
Peace.